Yo, what's up guys? It's Underrated Mage. Today I'm going to be doing a video discussing Natsu's final form. Now when it comes to Natsu, he is one of those characters. In fact, he's going to go down as one of those shonen main characters who always be getting power-ups, whether it be in new arcs or whether it be in a new fight. It's kind of similar to Goku with the whole Super Saiyan thing, how he kept on getting new Super Saiyans over and over. Although, however, Natsu, he doesn't really get as much like actual transformation or like power-ups as you think he would. Like the list of power-ups and like transformations that he has throughout the series is actually pretty small compared to like other main shonen and protagonists. So yeah, I find that pretty interesting. But Natsu, he still does get a whole lot of he still does have a decent amount of transformation. That's more fair to say. So today I'm going to be discussing what Natsu's final form should be and what will it be more resemblance to. Now starting off with this Dragon Force transformations, we saw the first Dragon Force appear during the Tower of Heaven arc, and Tower of Heaven arc is basically everybody's favorite arc. I mean, it's not my favorite arc, but when you ask people around the community or you just ask fairy tale fans in general, I don't know why, but the Tower of Heaven arc seems like it's the most loved arc throughout, like, just in period. Like, you got people saying, oh yeah, this is my favorite arc, this is my favorite arc. Like, I don't know why. Maybe it's the Urza's past and finding all about Urza, because Urza, she was seen as such a strong character. Finding out that she went through all that, like, the torture and everything, living as, like, a child slave. Maybe it's that. Maybe it's the dope fights that we see. I don't know. Or maybe it could be my favorite moment throughout the arc, Natsu versus Jalal. And I'm not gonna lie, this was a pretty dope fight, especially from what we seen early on in the series of Fairy Tail, because fairy tale fights, for the majority, there were a lot of like funny like gag moments throughout the series. I mean, the first like major, I guess you call it a major arc, was Natsu and Lucy going to go fight like Vulcan as a monk. Like that was just a funny fight, go them seeing go fight a monkey. But then we move on to something as serious as Natsu versus Jalal, all the ups and downs, and then we find Natsu eating the Ethereum. Everybody just like, no, what is he doing? But we later find out that Natsu, he could handle it, and then he basically ends up using Dragon Force. And this was the Super Saiyan, I'm using air quotes right now but you guys can't see me, but this was the Super Saiyan of the transformation, because it was basically Natsu's huge transformation form, similar to Goku. Like, we just see Natsu get all scaly, his hair spiked up, everything. He's just looking dope and badass. I mean, I just love the whole Ethereum transformation. It's definitely going to go down as one of my favorites, simply because it's iconic, the pose, everything. Like, if you just search up Natsu Dragon Force, the first thing you're going to see is Natsu doing that beast-ass Ethereum Dragon Force transformation stance. And then we move on to the Dragon Force due to the Flame of Rebuke. And this one came way down the line compared to when the first Dragon Force occurred, because the first one occurred way back in the Tower of Heaven. This one occurred later on down in the whole Erasing Saiya's arc. So that's like a good 3-4 arcs put in between before Natsu got like a new transformation. And this goes back to another reason why I say that Natsu, he doesn't get as much power-ups as others, but nonetheless, we still do see Natsu. He's basically having a dope ass fight with Zero, Brain, whatever you want to call him. I'm calling him Zero because that's what form he was in. But we see him going in versus Zero, and then when it looks like Natsu's down for the count, in comes, well, ironically, Jalal again, the person who was there for his first Dragon Force transformation. But Jalal appears again, and it's like, damn, Jalal. He comes with the Flame of Rebuke, and this is also another very controversial moment in the series, because a lot of people, they say that the Flame of Rebuke, it came out of nowhere, it was an ass pull, straight up plot device. And to be honest, the Flame of Rebuke did come up out of nowhere. I can't even defend it right now, because there was really nothing ever brought about a Flame of Rebuke, and then Jalal shows up. He's like, yo, here it is, take my flame so you can get stronger. So I think even though the Flame of Rebuke, it was like a huge, like just a huge plot device, I still didn't enjoy it. And I like the whole scene of Natsu eating it and becoming stronger, him getting a new Dragon Force, and it was dope seeing him going there and put in work with it. And from what we saw with that, another case where Natsu, he had to get like outside help to like getting new power-ups. So that's also another thing that I noticed when talking about Natsu. We'll talk about his first two Dragon Force, is that they didn't come naturally, they had to come through some type of outlier. And I think that's also pretty interesting, considering the fact how Natsu doesn't necessarily get his power-ups just through training. And then we move on to my favorite Dragon Force, which is the natural Dragon Force. And this one is basically Natsu going into like some type of, I guess you call him like a mini dragonish, because we see him get like full on scales and stuff, and I'm like, whoa, like whoa, he's getting scales and stuff. Although he doesn't get wings or anything like this, I think of this one basically like I think it's just like a huge strength increase, along with like his natural like Dragon Slayer power gets way more stronger, because like I said, he gets like scales. And I don't know if this was just like the artwork in the manga, but I remember he had like little horns or something. I'm not 100% sure if this was in the anime, but we do see Natsu with the little horn, like the dragon scales and everything. And we saw him obviously use this in the Tardos arc. Again, this one came way down the line. Like, this is the recent Dragon Force that we've seen from Natsu, and yet he used like the last Dragon Force that he got prior to this one was way back in the freaking Orisian Sei's arc, and he's just now getting another one with the whole natural Dragon Force. So that was pretty dope seeing him use that. We saw the boost in power that it gave to him, and just the overall design and everything is just dope. I mean, natural Dragon Force, to me personally, it definitely has the best like design, and I definitely do think that it had the best like power boost, because Mark Gear, let's be honest here, he was straight up toying with them. Like, they were no challenge to him until he actually did use natural Dragon Force. He was able to push him back a little bit, but yeah, natural Dragon Force, to me personally, that was Natsu's best and dopest Dragon Force transformation. And then we move on to Natsu's E and D form. Now, E and D form is Natsu's last transformation that we've seen so far, and this occurred recently in the manga of the Alvarez Empire arc. Now, this one came relatively quickly compared to the other transformations, because Tardos arc, Natsu got the whole he got the natural Dragon Force. Then we move on to the Avatar arc, and that's basically the arc that came back after the timescape, and then we jump into Spring and 12 arc. So this one came pretty quickly compared to the other ones. But E&D transformation, E&D has been being built up for so long. I mean, we've heard Zeref say, Natsu, you are E&D. We've heard Natsu, him being E&D, because he's E&D, he will be on par with Acnologia, according to Zeref. Like, we've just been hearing so many things about Natsu and just E&D and everything. So I think that it's finally dope to see Natsu actually obtain the E&D form. And let me just say that it did not disappoint. I mean, he was straight up going in versus Gray. That fight will go down as I just think of that fight, it's so dope, but I'm mad that it was so short, because that fight will go down as one of the greatest fights in Fairy Tail. Even though it's so short, I found that fight to be dope, and I did enjoy it a lot. So Natsu with his E&D form, he definitely did get super strong. The fact that him and Gray were able to go at it and just keep on punching each other and going all out, yeah, you could tell that it was something that Natsu has never experienced before. And then we move on to, this is going to be the speculation part of the video. These ones haven't been confirmed, but these are kind of like the fan or like the community transformation that's kind of been thought of. Dragon transformation. If you guys know me and my channel, I'm basically one of the people who was always holding on to the dragon transformation. I was saying stuff like, oh, maybe Igneel didn't create all the antibodies for him, maybe Igneel didn't do this, maybe he didn't do that. But with the recent chapter of Fairy Tail, it basically pretty much confirmed that yeah, Natsu, he ain't getting no dragon transformation. I mean, it's kind of sad, because Natsu, I will always want him to see like go like into a mini dragon, simply because it's Igneel, like he was his dragon teacher. But the fact that Natsu won't be getting a dragon transformation, it hurt me a little bit, but at the same time I can understand why. So Natsu's dragon transformation, it's pretty much safe to say that yeah, it will not be happening. And then we move on to Natsu new Dragon Force, and this one is actually pretty plausible, because even though natural Dragon Force looks like it could be the last thing, I think that there has to be one more step, because natural Dragon Force, it looked incomplete. And what do I mean by that? They were just like scales, just like it was only like half his body was full with scales. Like, maybe there's gonna be another step to Dragon Force that's gonna like completely cover his body with scales. Not something that turns him into a dragon, but something that gives him like the complete hybrid between the two. Maybe some new Dragon Force is obtainable, or maybe it's not gonna be. I'm not too sure about that, but I think that it's not complete completely rejected. It's not a rejected idea, kind of similar to how the dragon transformation is, but it still has a chance. And then we move on to a new E&D form, and this one has to be a yes, because when Natsu first went into his E&D form, he looked the same. I mean, he didn't look like a demon or anything at all. And me personally, I want Natsu to get a demonized transformation similar to the demons in Tartaros, when we basically seen how their ethereal transformations, it changed them completely. Whereas Natsu's demon transformation, it didn't really change him. All he really got was just flames going around him. So I think we're going to see a full-on demon transformation, and it's going to be hype and it's going to be dope. Now, I know some of you guys might be thinking, okay, so what do you guys think Natsu's final form will be? Will it be a dragon force, or will it be an E&D transformation? What do you think it will be? Me personally, I don't think it'll be any of that. I think that Natsu's final form will have to do something with like his base form. Something is where he has mastered both his E&D power and his dragon force, and he'll be able to utilize them both, and he'll be looking, I don't want to say he's going to look like a demon or a dragon force, or I said a dragon force, or like a dragon, because it will kind of, if he looks like either or, it will kind of like make it seem like one of them has the greater edge over each other, which is why I think that if he masters both power, he'll be able to use them simultaneously, but he'll still be in his base form. So I think that Natsu's final form, it'll look like regular Natsu, but his power is going to be out of this world, and it's going to be crazy. Now, what do you guys think about Natsu's final form? Do you think that he's going to have a beast final form? Do you think it's going to be epic? Comment what you guys think down below. Subscribe if you haven't. Peace out.